There's also a technique that I call auto-think, which is a way of training a person to think without thinking. Now you might say, well, how in the world do you train someone into that? How do you train the muse to talk to you? How do you train in intuition and creativity? Well, it's actually fairly involved procedure, but I can give you just a brief description. It starts with something that anyone can do. You track mental activity in terms of 4 possibilities. See here, and rest. So see means you're having a mental image, here means you're having a mental talk. See here means you're having mental image and mental talk at the same time. And rest means that the system is not active. Your mental screen is blank and your head is quiet at the same time. Or in the most extreme case, it means that both image space and talk space have vanished. Mind space has collapsed to a dimensionless point. But even if that doesn't happen, you can still be aware of rest or absence of activity, which I describe as the mental screen is blank and the head is quiet. So that's a relative rest, and you could also have absolute rest in your mind. Otherwise, your mind is active, and that can only happen in one of 3 ways: image, talk, or both at the same time. So you track that, and then you get some momentum, and then you can move to a more challenging procedure, which is to cover mind space. Place some attention in image space, some attention in talk space. Mind space sort of has a front and a back. Images tend, it's a little more complex than this, but they tend to center sort of in front. Mental talk tends to be in the head at the ears. So just like the body has a front and a back, your mind, roughly speaking, has an anterior and posterior space. And so you cover mind space, and you just sort of, Freud would have maybe called it evenly hovering. There is that a phrase that he used. So, but he was talking about the outside. We're talking about evenly hovering on the inside. So you cover mind space, and that's actually not as easy for most people as noting the mind states, meaning tracking image, talk, both or not. But if you're able to cover mind space, that can be very useful. And then a certain window of opportunity might present itself. There might be a global unfixated state. Either it's all rest all the time, or it's active, but it's just a subtle vibration of activity. Or there are surface thoughts, but they immediately go away, so you're never carried away. That's a global unfixated state. Now, if you maintain a global unfixated state, it may evolve into a situation where you're actually thinking again, but the thoughts are just self-organizing. They're just happening on their own, and they're creative, and they're insightful. And now you're into a state of auto-think. You've actually trained yourself to do that. Now, that's a window of opportunity. If that opens, you use it. But if it doesn't, then and you have difficulty covering the mind space, then fine, you just go back to noting the mind states. So it's a kind of algorithm that loops and branches, and then with time will tend to induce in a person the ability to think without thinking, or to have thoughts without a thought thinker that sort of self-organize and carry an energy of creativity and or insight.